Nick Joe 98. I'm gonna start something a little new here. Do some vlogs while I'm just in the car, kind of talking about what's on my mind. So I was just listening to some music, and the song "Celestial" by Ed Sheeran came on. So some of you may realize that song is the ending credits to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, the newest generation of Pokemon. So the reason I'm bringing that up is because that song, it's a good song. Ed Sheeran's all right in my opinion. He's not like the guy I will go out of my way and listen to. It's a good song. However, the memory that it brings up of just that game is so terrible. It upsets me that Pokemon was so lazy with designing that game that there is literally no post-game, no battle tower. There's nothing else to work towards. Pokemon Home came out so late that it's just like, why even bother working towards something else in that game? And then now they're releasing this DLC, the Teal Mask DLC, and it's like, why do I want to buy a post game whenever there's so many other games that have so much more content as a base game? Like, you look at Assassin's Creed games, they have like hundreds of hours, and you can still never see everything in it. And then you play Pokemon and you complete the story, and if you take your time watching the story and everything, you probably get 10 to 12 hours of oh, that's fun. Which is not, for $60 for 12 hours of gaming is not it. I get it if you're about to do play competitive or shiny hunt, but if you're just a regular person, you're not going to get into Pokemon because of that. And Pokemon is just feeding off of nostalgia anymore. The games used to be so well designed and actually tough. And I know that is a common complaint, is Pokemon games aren't tough anymore, which, I mean, it is a children's game, but come on. I actually just played through Pokemon White, or it was Pokemon Black. Anyways, Gen 5 first version. And that thing put me in tears. That Hydreigon, there's level 55 that can't remember what his name was. Also, the story and even the graphics for that were super good for Gen 5. I didn't realize, but that game had me in tears from how stupid hard it was. And I don't know. I took a huge break from that before I completed it, right before I went through Victory Road. So maybe that was part of the problem. But man, it actually challenged me to come up with battle strategies, because with Pokemon, I don't really play through a whole bunch. I'll play through usually once, and then I'll especially when Generation 8 was a thing, Sword and Shield, I would prepare them to go through the Battle Tower, because that was a fun post game. And that was just base game post game. You also had post game, the DLC content, which it's a shame it had to be blocked by a paywall, but even that post game was pretty cool. Now, I haven't seen anything for the Teal Mask, but so far it just looks like more Pokemon, and that's about it. I haven't seen other content as far as it goes. I guess there's another guaranteed shiny with Munchlax, which is all right. But that's another thing, is shinies are so common anymore that they're not even trophies. It's just the standard. It's when you see a shiny Pokemon, it's oh, they probably picked that up sometime when they were playing through the story. It's not always a question of oh, I wonder if they went and hunted for that. But it's Pokemon is just becoming less and less special as they create games. Legends Arceus, the only problem I had with that is shinies. So shinies between Scarlet and Violet and Legends Arceus is, it should be uniform, and I believe they should not make noise, but I think you should see them in the overworld. That's how shiny hunting should be, because oh, if you miss one, that's tough. But at least the Let's Go feature is good in that aspect. There are some good things this Pokemon Scarlet and Violet brought, but the maps are so janky, and especially on release, I don't think that Pokemon ever did fix this, but a lake where you fight Dondozo and Tatsugiri, the Titans, that lake is the glitchiest thing, man. Yeah, because that's where I do a lot of my EV training for attacks through Gyarados. It's just, there's almost no point in having the camera in any other direction than like having it directly below the water line so it doesn't lag. But if you do anything other than that, it lags. And then brilliantly, that Barracuda Pokemon, I can't remember its name, but it is so fast in the water to just go up and run on you that like your game can't even load or process the fact that you ran from a fight before another one is just launching itself at you, and it's so annoying. But yeah, game was so underwhelming. I mean, I think the Pokemon in that game were all right. I think the trainers in that game were pretty cool. I liked Norman. I liked really most of the gym leaders and stuff. But when it came to content, or just like I liked the 3 stories of like Titans, the Team Star, and the Gym Challenge. I like the open world aspect. I like playing with other people. But like the content, like post game mainly, there's no post game with that. It was so disappointing. Because once you get through Area 0, it's like, what else is there? Nothing really. It's like, there's no battle tower. There's no other cities to go and explore. There's no other islands to go and explore. You don't even get a new way of shiny hunting like you did in like Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl with the Poke Radar. It's always just sandwiches. And like, that's another issue, is Herba Mystica, like for shiny hunting, is so tedious, which I guess almost offsets the fact that it's easy to get shinies, especially with Herba Mystica. But I mean, you can find a way around that. If you have a friend with a Switch, you can just like have them make the sandwich while you're in their party, and then they disconnect, so they keep their Herba Mystica and they don't save, and just abuse that. So easy to get shinies. It should be a little bit more special than that. I remember in Sword and Shield, I soft resetting and get encounters were the best way to do shinies, outside of the Masuda method, of course. But I'm trying to have my wild Pokemon and just hyper train them that way, because I like I don't like hatching for it. It doesn't feel that special. Once you like find it in the wild and then you have to capture it, that's where the real like adrenaline is at. But I don't have a problem with the Masuda method or anything. It's just that game brings back such bad memories, because like I said before, the Pokemon games have about 10 to 12 hours if you can really milk out that much of content in them. Meanwhile, you get these other $60 games like the Assassin's Creed games that are like hundreds upon hundreds of hours, and you might not even see everything. What's another example? Like stuff like Fallout or Starfield, where you can just play forever, always be constantly finding new things and Easter eggs, and Pokemon's just nowhere even close to that. That's another issue I have, is video game inflation up to $70. Like, I get it that everything else is getting expensive, but everything else is also getting easier from a technological standpoint, like developing games. Like, especially if you have like the people who have experience in working in video games, like especially people who have grown up in this technological age of like they've had computers and stuff since they've been kids, and they're familiar with like how to work this technology. And that's just like basic. If you get like a kid who like actually has been programming for like a long time, it would be really easy for them to like advance in that career. It's depressing every time I think about Pokemon and all the glitches it has and all the problems it has, all the lack of content, because it's almost like it's gotten less over the years. Like the expectations are just going down, and the price, the sales are still there because Pokemon has such a loyal fan base. It's different for other companies because they have, you know, they have to either make a name for themselves or something. Oh, that's another game I was going to talk about, is Baldur's Gate 3. That is from, I think, a smaller developer. Also Blasphemous. I want to bring up Blasphemous because that game was super good. I'll probably get the second one. I was going to 100% Blasphemous, but that game is just so insane to 100%. Actually, it's over 100% completion. But stuff like Legend of Zelda, like with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, like before those games, they weren't talked about all that much and didn't have great sales. And then those games came out and they're polished to an extent. Like, you can still find great game-breaking glitches if you look hard enough, but with Pokemon, you don't even have to look that far. And Pokemon, I believe, maybe behind Mario, is like the second highest earning franchise in video game history. And it's just, they put out bad games. Simple as that. It's just bad games. I guess the mechanics work how they're supposed to. Like, I guess back in Gen 4 there was a problem with like burning or something, or in like Rain Dance. I can't remember exactly how that went, but it was like a certain Pokemon. But that's like the only hiccup it's had like in the battle system, which, I mean, it's not that hard when you just copy and paste that and add a couple new moves, add a couple new Pokemon. But then you got like the story and the map, which just goes nowhere. I mean, the map I was so excited because it looked so big, and then you got into the map and it's like, wow, it was actually pretty small. But yeah, that's my thoughts on this drive. I was pretty disappointed every time I listen to a song because, you know, I like Pokemon, and that's the end credits to it. And it just reminds me of what could have been. What could have been a great game was just cut short. It felt like I was halfway into the game when it ended, and I was like, are we serious? This is half a game. I should be getting like 25 hours, 30 hours of content in this, and I got like 10. I actually played through it so fast the first time because I wanted to go like get like a battle team ready. I was going to try to do competitive through it this year, but so it took me about, let's say, 6 hours to do, just because I was like trying to get through it as fast as I could. And of course I had Flamigo on my team because I was like, yo, this guy's kind of dope. And yeah, anyways, the Pokemon are all right. It's just the problem is the lack of content. Have a little bit, do a little bit more Pokemon. You have all this money, and you just choose to sit on the money and just, you don't even do anything with the effort. You just sit on the effort too. It's such a lack of effort thing for one of the highest value companies ever. It's stupid. Anyways, I'll talk to y'all later.